So I'm going to go over all of the landscaping I put in and the names of the plants, if I can remember them all. Let me see. So I started this last year when I moved here. This flower bed was a mess. There was nothing but mint and hostas. I had to roll the mint up like sod. There was just so much of it. It was all over here. And there was a big flower bed right here that I pulled out with big railroad ties. And so now the grass is growing over it nicely, and it's nice and clean looking instead of, it was kind of busted up. So I just planted, this is probably the last thing I planted this season. This is a snowball viburnum, and it's got a Japanese beetle on it. I gotta spray these. And this rose bush was already here. This is a Japanese rose bush. And it's starting to bud. You can see there's a little red bud there coming out. And I just planted these little heather ground covers. I've got 2 of them. They're really cute. And some other little flowering ground covers over here. I got 2 of those. These spireas I put in last year. I've got 7 of them. They really have gotten huge. And this is a smoke tree, a smoke bush. It's actually grown quite a bit from last year. So in a couple years, I'll start trimming this into looking like a tree. But you're not supposed to trim them for a couple years after you put them in the ground. And you can grow these in pots too. So this is the Russian sage that it used to be right where this it's called a snowflake spirea. I put that in this year too. On all these spires, it has these tiny white flowers, so it looks like it's just covered in snow. And it's so beautiful. But we had a lot of rain. It washed all the little flowers off. And it looked like it was snowing on the ground. It was so pretty. So this Russian sage came back because this is where all the snow gets plowed in this area here. This is all a big thing of snow. So this Russian sage can take a lot of abuse, but it just wasn't a good spot for it. So I put it in pots, and it just started to come back a few weeks ago, and it's grown quite a bit because I've been fertilizing the hell out of it. So it's starting to come back. It's beautiful when it's got the flowers on it. It's like this pretty purple color, lavender. So I put some catmint that was already here in pots. That's starting to flower now. It's pretty. So I have a theme here: white, chartreuses, purples. We've got this little flower. I'm not sure what this flower is called. Put that over here this year. I got 4 of these white, kind of like snapdragon-ish flowers. They're called like obedient plants because they just stay. They grow in clumps wherever they are. So this one's kind of branching off and growing. So I kind of like how they stay. They're not invasive. They're not gonna take over their space, but they're going to fill it with these constantly blooming white flowers. I just think they're so pretty. These hostas are amazing. Like, these were already here. All these huge hostas, and got little hostas. The flowers on this spirea are beautiful. They get super bright pink, like a fuchsia color. And these 2 were already here too. This one gets white flowers on it, and this pretty little bush over here gets yellow flowers on it. And this huge hosta. This thing is huge. It's a Mac Daddy hosta. It's beautiful. And This is a dragon's beard flower. These are all perennials. There's no annuals here because I want them all to come back. And this is, so I can't remember the name of these. Astilbes. They're shade-loving plants. These two I put in last year. This one and this one I put in last year. And then I found this candlestick astilbe that I just fell in love with, and I planted that this year. Beautiful. And they haven't quite all the way bloomed. They get really a lot bushier than this. I can't wait until they get bigger and bloomier. But I really like how it turned out. It's not too crowded, but it's just gorgeous. I just love it. And you know, it's hard once you start doing this stuff. You could kind of go overboard with stuff. So, you know, I had to stop myself a few times from buying some more bushes and plants because I really don't have anywhere to put them now. All the spaces are filled up. So this was here. Of course, this hosta. And this is I can't remember the name of this, but it has these beautiful, it's starting to bloom again, these beautiful yellow, chartreusey yellow flowers that the hummingbirds just love. And it just goes so well with the yellow on the edges of this hosta. It's in a pot. It's beautiful. And these were already here. This is Bleeding Hearts. And there's another one over at the end of the yard, and I think that they put, the previous owner put these wherever they buried a pet, from what I hear from the neighbors. So there's two of these. So I think there's a pet here and a cremated pet over there. I'll show you that later. Which I think is kind of cool, you know. They were here for, I think, 12 years, the previous owners. So these I can't wait for them to bloom. These hydrangeas really took a beating in the winter, but they're growing like crazy. They look great. These I planted last year. Now the rest of this stuff, except for the catmint and the hostas, well, those hydrangeas over there I planted last year. They're actually absolutely gorgeous. They haven't fully bloomed yet. So I could put these little chartreusey ground covers here. I got 6 of them. I think they're just so pretty with the purple, the purplish, greenish colors of these sedums. It's kind of like a ground cover, what do you call those? Succulent. And I got these candy corn spireas. I put them in too early this year, and the frosts weren't over, and they got really hammered by a frost. We had a late frost, and they haven't really. They're coming back slowly but surely. You know, it didn't kill them, but they were a lot bigger. I had to cut them back a lot. But I've been fertilizing them, and I just love the colors. We got more catmint here. It's starting to bloom, finally. And I got this beautiful Japanese willow that I put in a pot. Now, I'm not going to keep it in a pot. You know, maybe in a couple years I'll put it in the ground somewhere around here. But I just love the way it looks in a pot. It's just, kind of just makes this spot brighten up, you know, against the dark wood of the house. We got more beautiful hostas over here. Now those lilies, tiger lilies, they were already here. I'm not a fan of tiger lilies, but I think it looks like 2 little spotlights over here when they keep blooming, these 2 stalks. They're really pretty. And I forget the name of these little ground covers. Let me see. So here's the catmint. Now this was taking over. God, another beetle. this has been downsized a lot. This is where I took all the catmint from and put it in pots. This was already here. And I actually put more of it on the other side of the house. There was so much of it. It was like a huge hedge of catmint over here. I had to kind of rein it in a bit. And, you know, for the mulch, I just used, last year I put down wood shavings. And this year I mixed in some pea gravel with last year's shavings because I don't like mulching with mulch. You know, it's just, to me, it's not very pretty. It looks very, I don't know, commercial, you know? So I just mixed in the pea gravel. I watch a lot of Linda Vodder. I love watching her gardening videos, and she uses the pea mulch mixed in with other things, the pea gravel mixed in with mulch. So I just like the look of it, and it doesn't, you know, make the mulch build up. You know, it kind of lets the air breathe in the ground. It's easier to weed too, and keeps kind of critters like squirrels and chipmunks out of here. So these beauties, I can't wait until they fully bloom. These hydrangeas, oh my gosh, they're beautiful. They're lace cap hydrangeas, and they've gotten huge from last year. They've gotten so much bigger. And these little babies, I love echinacea. Look at the colors. Look at the color of these flowers. Aw, this cute little, whatever kind of bug that is. There was just a butterfly over here. The butterflies love this. So when I put, you know, I use neem oil and stuff. I try not to put it on the blossoms. I put it all around the plant so that the pollinators can get to the blooms and not have anything bothering them. And I put some creeping thyme up here in my little window boxes. It's so pretty. This plant I bought last year, and I had it in my kitchen, and I didn't know what it was. I was waiting for it to flower, and it never did. It just started growing these it's a pepper plant. It looks very alien. So I just kind of brought it out here. I didn't really want it inside anymore. And it really didn't want to be inside. It was always kind of stretching and moving towards the sun. It needs sun. So it likes it out here. And these ferns come up here with these cute little daisies. I just love these little daisies. I didn't plant this stuff. This stuff just comes up on its own. But these I started from seed right after the frost. These what are these things called? I can't remember what they're called, but they're supposed to have a really nice scent. And so they're starting to bloom. And this is thyme, but it's white, creeping thyme. These flowers, I don't remember what they were, but they were white, and they had really pink little polka dot centers. They're called polka dot something. And I just cut all the blooms off because they were getting eaten by something. They're starting to get little bloom buds again. My hot pink geranium, I love this plant. My little dianthus, I think something like that. But I love the colors of this plant. These flowers are just so brilliant. I have them in my window box over by my mailbox too. Over there, I got they're just so bright and beautiful. So I don't like to have like a really cutesy, bright flowers everywhere garden. I like as you can see, the greens and chartreuses and soft lavenders, but with a pop of color every now and then. And I have another lace cap hydrangea over here. It doesn't get as much sun over here during the day, so it doesn't have as many blooms on it as the other one does, but it's a little smaller, but that's okay. It's still beautiful. These